मम माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव। जय बोल सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय।
Hari Om. I hope you could do some chanting today. You did? Okay. Yeah. Live. Om Sadashivasamarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guruparamparam. Om. In the previous class, we saw about Purushartha, the human pursuits. And we saw what Purushartha means. Purushaihi arthyate prarthyate iti Purushartha. That which is sought after by the human beings, by all human beings. That is called Purushartha. We saw that there are 4 Purusharthas, and of them we saw Artha and Kama. What is Artha? All those goals that I seek for my security is called Artha Purushartha. And what is Kama Purushartha? All those goals that I seek for enjoyment, for my enjoyment. That is called Kama Purushartha. And we also saw that both the Artha Purushartha and Kama Purushartha are variable from person to person. And also, with the same person, it varies from time to time. What I seek or what I sought 10 years back is not what I seek today. And what I am running after today may not be the same thing that I would run after 5 years or 10 years later. So, Artha and Kama, both these pursuits are variable. So, Artha Kama Purushartha, though they are variable from person to person, what I seek may be variable, but that I seek is not variable. Therefore, that I seek security and that I seek pleasure is not variable from one person to the other person. Maybe through what one seeks security or through what one seeks pleasure can vary. That is an endless list. Therefore, we said that both Artha Kama Purushartha, both Artha Purushartha and Kama Purushartha are common for all human beings. And we also saw that often this Artha Kama, they are always taken together. Artha Purushartha and Kama Purushartha are referred together as Artha Kama. Both these Artha Kama Purushartha often do not stem from a sense of satisfaction. Satisfaction on whom? On the part of the person who is pursuing the goal. Rather, it stems from the sense of dissatisfaction. And we saw what dissatisfaction is. It is self-disapproval. I am not happy as I am. I am dissatisfied as I am for some reason. I feel small, I feel insignificant, I feel imperfect, and subject to all hurt and guilt. Therefore, I seek satisfaction from the world outside to fulfill all the blanks, all the gaps that, keep me an incomplete person. Therefore, the seeking of satisfaction from the world outside stems from self-inadequacy. Because I regard myself as incomplete, I regard that I do not have certain things which I think if I have, I will be happy or satisfied. Now we saw about the Arthakama Purushartha, and we also saw that I cannot accomplish Arthakama Purushartha in the way I want. Just because I seek something as a goal which falls under either in my pursuit of security or in the pursuit of my pleasure, it does not mean that I can accomplish anything I want or in the way I want. And for me, ends do not justify the means. I repeat, ends do not justify the means. Because, there is this common misunderstanding in the society, and there are groups of people who have wrongly propagated that in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna teaches that ends justify the means, which is wrong. Nowhere in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna ever says that ends justify means. No, there is no teaching like that in Bhagavad Gita at all. I have studied Bhagavad Gita, I don't know for how many times, I have not found that anywhere in Gita. But this has been popularized by groups. There are so many other things that have been popularized in the name of Bhagavan Shri Krishna. And because you tag that name along, Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavan Krishna along, everything gets sold off. People start believing and this is Gita. Okay, so understand that ends do not justify means. The means are as important as the ends are. Okay, so because I have a choice over both ends and the means. Okay, this is very, very special to human beings alone, and I am unlike the animals who do not have a choice. They are programmed. They lead a life in a particular fashion only, in the way they are programmed only. So we saw that the cow is always a vegetarian and a tiger has always been a non-vegetarian, right? So they live their life in the manner they are programmed because they don't have choice. And because they don't have choice, they don't have conflicts too. Okay? So I, being a human being, I have a choice. That means that I am not programmed. Therefore, there is no built-in system in me like how the animals are. I am not built in with a set of rules or codes. I am not programmed with a set of rules, codes, or a special set of value systems that control my individual action. Right? So I need a set of value systems which are called ethics, which have to govern my action, and I have to conform to those value systems when I do any action. Why this? Because I have a choice. And having a choice means that human being is capable of abusing the choice also. It is freedom of choice to even abuse the choice, It comes with that negative in it. So if you analyze the various theories of different religions, they all confirm this problem of human inadequacy. They confirm this universal notion. And they also offer some solution. And a believer who believes that his problem will be solved, he believes and he takes whatever that is taught to him by those religious theologies, that the solution is definitely thereafter. Not now, but after death. You go to a different world where you enjoy all pleasures according to the merits that you have earned, and you will be free of the problem that you are facing right now. So a believer believes this. What happens to a non-believer? A non-believer try and takes care of the problem as much as he can in this world itself. To whatever extent he can. He tries to solve the problem with all the resources available around him. And you have certain groups of people. One such group is called an existentialist. An existentialist group, their philosophy is very convenient philosophy they have. They say the more selfish you are, the more happy you will be. Therefore, they promote selfishness. They say, come on, just think of yourself, take care of yourself. Why are you bothered about the other one? No. You have to eat, you have to take care of yourself, you have to earn, you have to save, you need money for yourself. And you have other groups which are slightly different, okay? There is another group called mechanical materialists. Mechanical materialists are, I find them very funny, okay? They are that group that accept only that which is sensorily perceptible. Okay? That which is available for my five senses, I accept. Even talking logic to them, it is very difficult. And only that which is available for five senses, they accept and nothing more. Period. They have a philosophy, it goes like this in Sanskritam. They say, Yavat Jivet, Sukam Jivet, Rinam Kritva Gritam Pibet, Basmi Bhutasya Dehasya, Punar Agamanam Kutaha. Meaning, Yavat Jivet, Sukam Jivet. For however long you are set to live, live happily, live comfortably. And how should you live? Rinam Kritva Gritam Pibet. Don't worry, you can go on your credit, borrow and enjoy. You don't have to stop yourself from enjoying. Rinam means borrowing. And taking loan or borrowing. Swipe your credit card. And what if I can't pay? Don't pay. Why should you pay? Why are you bothered about paying? Don't pay. Gritam Pibet. Those days, ghee was supposed to be a source of luxury and enjoyment. Ghee, those days, people had a lot of physical work and they never had cholesterol problems and all. And our Shastram also says, Gritam vai Ayu. The one who takes ghee lives a very long life. But when you should consume ghee, not any time of the day, it is along with the food you consume. So there are some rules how you should consume. It's not that you just take, every 10-minute break and take a teaspoon of ghee. That is not going to help you. Okay. Anyway, so he says you borrow and you enjoy. take a loan. I don't know how popular this is in the US, but here we keep getting calls as to whether you need a credit card, you need a personal loan, you need a housing loan, you need this loan, you need that loan, you need a top-up loan, and we are offering at a very low interest rate, and you can borrow. We offer something, some special offers for world tour. You borrow and go for a world tour. You enjoy, borrow and enjoy. This is called mechanical materialism. In our systems, those people were called prakritaha, very gross, very gross. And the other name that is given to them is charvakaha. Charvaka means those people who speak very sweetly, very sweetly. They say, why? Why are you troubling yourself? Don't work so hard. You deserve to enjoy. Why? Because basmi bhutasya dehasya, after you're gone and your body is burnt by your people, punaragamanam kutaha, who is going to come back? Who knows? Who knows? And how will you enjoy after that? So, for whatever time you are hanging around, just enjoy. Okay? Don't bother about repaying loan and things like that. Just enjoy. This is this mechanical materialist group. And then you have another group, dialectical materialists. Okay? They are this typical communist people. Okay? According to them, they hold matter to be the fundamental, but they are more into money and some service also, and they also have some philosophy. Okay? And because they hold matter to be fundamental, they are anti-religion. That's why you find all these communist people against all religion. But I don't know, I must say that at least in Chennai, I find this communist people pseudo-communist. They are only anti-Hindu. Okay, if you're anti-religion, you should have pull up your socks to talk about the other religions as well. No. Okay, all right. So, while you have these two materialist groups, you have this existentialist group, which are, I think they are majorly based out of Europe or something. And, this group, this existentialist group is a bit of thinking group, okay? More than the materialist group, they do some analysis. They have analyzed something, and in fact, they have also concluded, and their conclusion is that there is no solution to the human problem of limitation. The human being has to just live as pragmatically as possible and just manage with the limited resources around him and lead his life. Some sort of, sophisticated charvaka. That's all. Okay? So, these are, and you have the other theologies as we have seen. A theology means, theo means God, right? They are giving you something, some idea about, their idea about what God is. It means certain systems of belief, certain belief systems. Theologies are. And when you talk of belief, we say belief is of two types. One type of belief is a verifiable belief, and the other one, the non-verifiable belief. Now, what is this verifiable belief? Verifiable belief is that which I believe until I know. Until I get to know about it, I believe it. Okay. You take an example of this tourist spot called Valley of Flowers, I think. Yeah, Flower Valley. No, Valley of Flowers, which is on the way to Badrinath. Okay. So there is a season where this place is open and you can go and visit the Valley of Flowers. Battery is, yeah. Okay. Yeah. This Valley of Flowers. So people tell you a lot about it. People who have gone there tell you a lot about it. but you have never been there. Say you have never been there, and you hear a lot from somebody who is known to you, say your friend who's gone there, and you get all the details from he or she who is giving you some information about that. Now you believe all what that person says. You don't have any way of knowing about it because you have not experienced it, right? So you have to wait to get there to know more about that place, to gather knowledge about that place, right? So this is a verifiable belief, and this verifiable belief is a belief until when? Until the time you go there and it becomes knowledge to you. Now you enrolled into this introduction to Vedanta classes with a belief. Okay, what belief? Maybe you have a doubt also, but you give the benefit of, that's why you have 36 people online. Okay, so you give the benefit of doubt to the teacher. And what is the benefit of doubt you have given to the teacher? That, okay, she knows the subject matter. Okay, now is this belief verifiable one or a non-verifiable one? It's definitely a verifiable one. Okay, maybe in some time you will be able to conclude, oh, okay, she knows what I want. She has it. So, or maybe, no, she doesn't have it. Can also be, it can be either way. So what we are seeing is what a belief is. Every belief is nothing but a judgment before knowledge. Every belief, when you say belief, it is a judgment that you make before knowledge. Therefore, a judgment before knowledge which is subject to correction on verification is called belief. Okay, I repeat, a judgment before knowledge which is subject to correction on verification, this is called belief or a verifiable belief. So you make a judgment that something is true, and on verification there is a correction that can be made, right? This is called verifiable belief. Clear? Now I'll ask you something. What is 5 plus 3? What is 5 plus 3? Simple. What is 5 plus 3? 8. You have 5 bananas in a basket and 3 bananas in another basket. How many bananas you have? You have 8 bananas, right? Is this a belief? Would you say, if somebody is asking you how many bananas are there, would you say, I believe 8? No. You say there are 8. There are 8. You're sure about that. Why? Because this is knowledge. This is not belief. Okay, so knowledge, what is knowledge? Knowledge is something that cannot be negated. You know it for sure, right? Knowledge is something that cannot be negated. In Sanskritam, we call it abhaditam. It's okay if you don't note it, or we will see more of this anyway later. Now, whereas a faith or belief or vishwasaha is subject to confirmation on verification. Okay, so therefore it is subject to error, because I make a judgment today which is subject to verification later, and it is also available for correction. Then it means that that subject matter on which I have made a judgment is subject to error, whereas knowledge is not subject to error. If I say 5 plus 3 is 8 is knowledge, it is not subject to error. Now, suppose I say, after death, you will survive. Okay, I say after death, you will survive. Now, is this subject to verification and correction? Is this subject? It's a non-verifiable belief, right? That I will survive death, who knows? I have to die to know that, right? Who knows? So, and further, there are theologies and other groups of people who promise me that I go to a very desirable place, some call it heaven, some call it paradise, some say Jannat, some say this, some say that. I don't know. Okay. Now, this heaven, just because there is another incidental topic on which I would like to make a remark. We definitely have such concepts in Hinduism as well, right? What are they? Definitely non-verifiable only. There is nothing. I'm not here to say that no, if it is Hinduism, it is, it is knowledge. It is true. If Hinduism says that you will die, it is true. Die and go somewhere, to a place that is, much more beautiful and wonderful than this. That is also a non-verifiable belief. There is no doubt. But what I would like to make a note is that please do not translate Swarga as heaven. Okay? Because by definition, Swarga is entirely different from what Bible defines as heaven. Okay? So let's not go into the details of that. We do not have a concept of heaven. All right. Now, these systems promise that I, after death, will go to a desirable place. This is non-verifiable. Okay? You will definitely like it. Is that verifiable? How do I know? No, with the descriptions, they compare it with what I am experiencing here on earth, and they say all this would be, much more superior and wonderful and beautiful and all, exotic pleasures that you will experience there. How do I know that, or how do I confirm that I will like it? That's non-verifiable. What if you go there? Okay, maybe that's true, and you go there really, and you find it, I don't like this. What if you don't like it? Okay, so nothing wrong. Is it wrong to have these kind of beliefs? No, there is absolutely nothing wrong in having these kind of beliefs. But understand that these are non-verifiable. That's all. Don't seek scientific validation for all these things. Okay? Now, but if somebody is going to tell you that you go there and God is sitting there. Okay, you enjoy all these pleasures, those roads will be better, you will have golden roads, you will have golden, pair of golden wings. All that is all non-verifiable belief, and I'll go with all that. Fine, okay. But if somebody is going to tell you that God is sitting there, that could be a problem. Okay? And when we say a problem, we will have to deal with the problem. We will deal with it later. Now, in fact, the whole teaching is all about that. Okay? And we have barely started with the introduction to Vedanta. Now, why, if God has to sit there, why will he sit there? And why is he first of all sitting? Okay? Poor God, let us leave him aside and we will see that later. And now let us look at ourselves. Okay? And we already have two major groups recruiting people and, aiming at dividing the entire earth into two and recruiting all the humanity into their, bringing them into their fold. So these theologies, we saw that they confirm the human limitations. And whatever they talk about, even they talk about some, women who will be available for you when you reach. I mean, they tell this obviously to a man. And I wonder, and where are these women coming from? If the man is coming from here, where are those women coming from? They must also be coming from here. I don't know. So, and all these, tell me something, all these pleasure, they say you will have a beautiful house, you will have a beautiful body, a beautiful skin, you will have wonderful food to eat, you will have, you'll be enjoying a nice surrounding, everything extraordinary. Now tell me, all these things that attract me, and even if I'm interested in attaining them, which of the pursuit of human do these come? All these fit into artha kama. That's all. Right? All these deal with artha kama alone. And they say what you get and how you do and what happens to you, all these are, according to your original sin, which is a peculiar concept that they have. It is not papam, okay? Again, don't translate papam as sin. Sin is entirely different from papam. Sin is something that, your original sin was not done by you. It was done by somebody else, because of which you carry the sin. And when did that person do? I don't know, long time back. I don't know how many thousands of years back. And there was a savior for you who came 2000 years back. And where is he now? Now he was killed. So I had only one savior who came 2000 years back, and he was also killed. All right. So now all these confirm that basically human being is a limited person. I have a problem and I am desperately looking for a solution. Right. Now we have a third Purushartha. We saw that it is called Dharma, which is entirely different from Artha Kama Purushartha. In fact, one of the most critical Purushartha is Dharma. It is a very, very significant and important Purushartha. It's very significant to note that, this is a Purushartha which is given or laid out by the Vedic tradition. The Vedic tradition alone. So we saw that the ends that I seek and the means that I seek to fulfill my ends must comply with some ethical standards. It doesn't mean that I just can go behind and try to accomplish whatever I want. There are rules which are called ethics. It should conform to these ethical standards. My choices, the choice I make, must be based on these standards. And these standards, with the help of these standards, I must judge the propriety of the goal and the ends that I choose to accomplish. And then I should also consider the impact of my choice on the others around me, on my neighborhood, on the people around me. This is common sense, right? So these common sense ethics are recognized and confirmed by our Vedic tradition very, very comprehensively in our scriptures. And this is one of the most significant things in our Vedic tradition, because at least personally, I have not found this system of what is called dharma in any other tradition, whether within India or even outside India, anywhere in the world. Dharma as Purushartha. Purushartha means what? We saw Purushaihi Arthyate, that which is pursued or gained or sought after. By whom? Sarvaihi Purushaihi, by all human beings. By all of them. So it is common for all human beings. Dharma, Artha, Kama, it is is not something for just Hindus. Okay, it is for all human beings. And we saw that within Arthakama there are variables, right? My goals, my ends are variable. But Dharma Purushartha is non-variable. Within Arthakama, there are things that I seek which the other person doesn't seek, right? Say, I want to buy a house, somebody wants to sell it, right? I buy from the person who wants to sell it. And you want to sell your house, there is somebody to buy it. Always, you want to throw anything, there is somebody to pick it up, right? And when I buy the house, I celebrate, and the person who sold the house to me also celebrates. Right. So in Arthakama, the ends are variable, whereas Dharma Purushartha is not variable. Dharma Purushartha is not variable, and it is to be pursued and gained in this life itself. It is common for all. Ahimsa, the value of non-hurting. Now tell me, for whom is it applicable? Only for the people in India, or is it also applicable for everyone in the US, UK, Europe, Japan, Australia, Africa? For everyone, right? And it was applicable as much as it is applicable to me today. It was applicable to people even 500 years back, or even 3000 years back. And it will be applicable to people even after 10,000 years, right? So, dharma is something that is non-variable, and it is for all human beings. It is common for all human beings. Does this come to you naturally? No, it doesn't come to you naturally. You have to accomplish it because it is Purushartha. It is not given to you. You have to accomplish it by your own initiative. That is Dharma Purushartha. And if one has a family background, one may imbibe this from childhood, say to some extent. And one beautiful thing is that about dharma is that dharma need not be taught. Nobody need to teach you or anyone on dharma. Why? Because it is common sense. It is common sense. In the theologies, in the other theologies, the ethics are given as a mandate. These ethics are given as a mandate by somebody. It was given in history, by somebody in history, somebody who wrote it for you, who told it for you, and who gave it for you. That is what they say in the theologies. In reality, it was not given in history. It exists already, and it always existed, and you always know it. Common sense ethics of do's and don'ts are based on how you want yourself to be treated. That's all. How do I know what is dharma? How do you want yourself to be treated? That is how you behave with the world. You want yourself to be treated in a particular way. That is how you have to behave with the others. If you don't want yourself to be treated in a particular way, you should not give that treatment to the others. Atmanah pratikulani paresham na samacharet. That which is not desirable, or the way in which I don't want to be treated, don't behave that way with the other person. This is dharma. If I don't want people to lie to me, I should uphold the value of speaking the truth. If I want people to be honest with me, I should uphold the value of honesty with others. Now, there is one important point. It is not necessary to be religious to be ethical. Right? Wrong. One does not need to be a religious person to be an ethical person. Ethical standards specify right, wrong, what is right, what is wrong, and how security is to be achieved, how pleasures are to be enjoyed. All these are based on common sense. Can animal commit ethical mistakes? No, animals cannot commit ethical mistakes. It is only for human beings that ethics are prescribed. And where one ignores these ethical standards, we saw that ethical standards are prescribed only for human beings because they are bestowed with the faculty of choice. And where one has choice, where one has the freedom of choice, he has the freedom to abuse the choice as well. Therefore, where one ignores these ethical standards, he does not fulfill his role as a human being in the society. Right? Buddhirhi tesham adhiko visheshaha buddhya vihinaha pashubhis samanaha. Once a person has lost his common sense over accomplishing his ends, then he is as much as an animal, because he has lost his power to discriminate between what is good and bad, what is right and wrong, what is ethical and what is not. This is why, because we have people like this in the society as well, at least human being has the freedom to abuse his choice. This is why society needs to establish laws to prevent people from abuse of the freedom of choice. Right? So, because people abuse their freedom of choice, and that can cause harm or hurt to the others in the society, that is why we have a set of enacted or enforced civil and criminal laws. Right? These are only for human beings, why he has a freedom of choice. Now, when you are waiting to cross the road, and you're waiting because you don't have the signal to cross the road, and you're holding your dog, and your dog runs away from your hand, and you're not able to hold the leash, and he ran away, crossing the road when the signal was not available. Now the police stops you, you run behind the dog to stop it, and the police runs behind you. Now who will be fined? Will the dog be fined or you be fined? Now you can't say it was the dog that ran breaking the signal, and therefore you fine the dog and not me. Right? These laws are not applicable to animals, and these are applicable only to human beings. I hope I am making sense here. So now we saw that to be an ethical person, one need not be religious. And we also saw that dharma is a set of ethical standards that are prescribed by our Vedic tradition. Right? So they are religious ethics, basically. If I have to translate what dharma is, somewhere, a nearest translation, I can say religious ethics in this context. Now tell me, if somebody can or need not be religious to be ethical, why do I need religious ethics? If one can be ethical without religion, why do at all religion talk about ethics? Why is at least Hindu Dharma talking about ethics, dharma? Sometimes one can be clever enough to abuse his freedom without transgressing the laws. Without transgressing the laws, still he can be abusing the freedom. The man-made laws are to ensure that the other person is not hurt while you accomplish your desired end. Or where one, without transgressing the laws, abuses his freedom, or at least, without being caught, he abuses freedom. Now, at this point, it is at this point that religious ethics enter. Religious ethics that confirm common sense ethics, and they add a few more. It says, the religious ethics say that you may deceive your fellow men. You may escape the law, the man-made laws in the country you live. But you cannot get away from the results of your action. They will catch up with you sooner or later. Religious ethics enjoin special duties, and they also impose certain additional prohibitions for people. They are not merely common sense, not just common sense, but they also are in keeping with traditions and scriptural revelations. Now, religious ethics or dharma, which are found in Veda, they specify the religious do's and don'ts, and they also add that there are results for the actions that you perform. You do a particular do, you have a positive result. You do a particular don't, there is a negative result, right? So these positive and negative results are given names in our scriptures. The positive result is called punya and the negative result is called papa. Okay? And again, in English, you don't have a translation for these two. You don't have a translation for punya. And we saw that the translation of papa cannot be sin because by definition, both are different. So what can be the translation? Maybe you can say punya and papa. Okay, in English, that's all. So punya is the subtle result of your good action, and papa is the subtle result of your bad action. They're not visible. They are invisible, and that's why they are called adrishta by the scriptures. Because drishtam means that which is visible, adrishtam means that which is not visible or invisible. And they fructify, they manifest in the form of favorable and unfavorable situations, pleasing and not so pleasing situations, right? So, or pleasurable and sorrowful situations. Punya fructifies as the favorable ones and papa fructifies as the unfavorable ones. And according to dharma, every action has two components. Okay? Every action. Now, how do I understand that there is an invisible result to every action that I perform? I don't see it. And you say it's invisible. How does this work? It works like this. Every action has two components. One component is the visible component and the other component is my attitude while I do the action. The attitude that I bear, that is the invisible component, right? My action is physical and my attitude is not visible. For example, I have some food with me and I find somebody who is hungry. I reach out to that person and I give the food that I have. So visibly, I see that the person's hunger is satisfied. I satisfy somebody's hunger, which is a visible result, right? I feel happy about it, that I helped somebody. This is a visible result, right? But because I carried this good intention in my mind, the invisible component also has a result, which is called punyam. And this punyam will later fructify as a favorable situation to me. This is how it works. Therefore, dharma, dharma is, punyam is otherwise called dharma or dharma is otherwise called punyam. which is meant for my own well-being, right? Whatever favorables that I'm enjoying today, why is that I am enjoying? How did it come to me? Because I did something good in the past, right? And my actions today are going to take care of my well-being tomorrow. Today, what I enjoy is going to become punya karma, which is going to fructify as a favorable situation tomorrow. There is a shloka in Sanskritam. Artha grihe nivartante shmashane mitra bandavaha sukritam dushkritam chaiva gachantam anugacchati. What it says is, when a person dies, what comes along with him? It says, Artha grihe nivartante. All the wealth that he earned, does it follow him? No. They are stay put inside his house. So when the body is taken out of the house, he doesn't carry any of the wealth that he earned. He leaves them all behind in the house. They don't follow him when his body is taken away, when he goes. What about his people? His friends, his wife, his children, his relatives? What about his people? The shloka says, Smashane mitra bandavaha. They come up to the cremation ground. That's all. Or the burial ground, whatever, as the case may be. They come up to that. That's all. So what comes with you even after that? Sukritam dushkritam chaiva gachantam anugacchati. It is all the good and the bad deeds that you have performed, the punya and papa that you have earned through your good and bad deeds, that alone follow you. Therefore, naturally, a person who is religious would want to acquire more of this punyam because this alone follows him. Right? And therefore, dharma becomes purushartha. Dharma becomes something that people seek, that which is sought after. Now, if you analyze, most of the people are working for these three purusharthas only. Most of them. Either in artha, in kama, or in dharma. Where somebody is religious, he works for dharma also. Right? So, pursuing these three purusharthas, dharma, artha, and kama, a person who is intelligent, a sensible person, will find that these three human goals have certain innate limitations. They have certain innate limitations, innate defects. They are called doshas, not dosa. Okay? I'm not sure whether it's breakfast time in US. Okay? So, it is dosha. Okay? Dosha means limitations or defects. Now, what are the limitations of these goals? They're wonderful. They're wonderful. Something that I wanted, something that keeps me happy, something that satisfies me, at least momentarily, right? So, why do we say that these have limitations, and what are the limitations? The limitations are threefold. Limitation number one, they give you pain also. No doubt they give you pleasure. That's why you go after it. So we don't need to mention about that. What is highlighted by the scriptures is that they give pain also. It comes as a package. You cannot filter out the pleasure alone and say that, no, I want to enjoy the pleasure alone. No, not possible. In spite of Artha, Kama, Dharma being wonderful, they are like roses that come with thorns. You want the roses? Accept the thorns. Embrace the thorns as well. Otherwise, leave the rose also. Okay? So, they have both positives and negatives, and we know the positives, and that is why we go after that. Why do you get married? Why do you buy a house? Why do you want to have children? Because they are all wonderful and they have a lot of positives in them, right? But as much as they have positives, they are mixed with negatives. Equally, they are mixed with the same amount of pain and sorrow. How is it mixed with pain and sorrow? Number one, at the time of acquiring. Number two, at the time of preserving. You want to buy a house. Until you buy a house, you are yearning for it, right? You go looking out for it, and then you run behind the bank for sanctioning the loan, and thereafter you have to protect the house. You got your dream house, wonderful, you have started living in it, wonderful, but what about maintaining and protecting it, securing it, right? That is again painful. So acquiring is painful, maintaining or preserving or protecting it is painful. And then something happens. There is a robbery that happens, something happens, or at least, somebody comes and breaks your window. Some boys are playing outside, they're playing ball outside, they hit the ball and it breaks your window glass. Gone, right? All the joy is gone in a moment. So Patanjali in his Yoga Sutra very beautifully says, he says, Arjane dukkam, Rakshane dukkam, Nashane dukkam, dukkameva sarvam. Where is joy? So in the beginning there is dukkha, preserving is dukkha, and at the time when, it is gone or you lose it, it is dukkha. Where is sukha? There is no sukha that you are enjoying. He goes to the other end. Our Shastra says it is mixed. So you want to embrace sukha, you have to embrace it along with the dukkha also. It is dukkha mishritatvam. That is the first defect. Defect number 2, dissatisfaction. So first thing is that it is painful, dukkha mishritatvam. Second defect is dissatisfaction, dushpuratvam or atriptikaratvam. Doesn't matter if you are not able to remember these technical words, okay? You can skip them off. There is no problem. But as long as you understand it, it's enough. Okay? So I feel secure with $1 million in my account. Okay? $1 million in my account, I feel secure. Then what happens? Then my lifestyle changes, and $1 million is no more giving me security. Maybe for security I need some more. So I start working for more and I get more. And the more I get, the more insecure I feel. That is what I find. Right? Now, I wanted money to protect me, and now I have enough money or more than enough money that I need to protect the money. Right? So I feel more insecure. More insecurity with more. So no matter how much I thought acquiring this will satisfy me, no. It was something more. After I acquired, I had something else that I wanted to acquire. So dissatisfaction or discontentment. There is a beautiful story in Mahabharata, the story of King Yayati, who received a shapa, and he also received a boon along with it. The boon was that, the shapa was that he will turn old, and the boon was that he can borrow youth from one of his sons for 1,000 years. Okay, and he did that. He did borrow from one of his sons. He had 5 sons, and he did borrow from one of his sons for 1,000 years on a returnable basis. Okay, then he will return it. But what is important is not whether he really lived for 1,000 years and enjoyed. Okay, what is important is the lesson that we gather from his life, which was given by him, which was given as his own finding. He said, even though I have gone through all of these pleasures over and over again, over and over again, there is no satisfaction. And I see that desire, I cannot satisfy my desire by merely accomplishing it. It is like pouring ghee into fire to satisfy it. No. Desire is like the Agni in the Yajna Kunda, and no amount of ghee will satisfy the Agni. Right? So, trying to accomplish your desire is like that. It only keeps increasing your discontentment or dissatisfaction. I am dissatisfied now because I didn't get married. Okay? And then I got a girl or a boy. I got married. And then the dissatisfaction continues because I am dissatisfied with something else. Either I find a defect with the same person, or I am dissatisfied about, something else, a better job, more money, or a better house, or to have a child, or whatever. And then I have a child. I am again dissatisfied that because I need to put him in a better school. And then dissatisfied because he has to get a better job. And then dissatisfied because he has to get married. And then dissatisfied because he has not been having a child for long. And this dissatisfaction goes on and on and on and on. And even after 50, 60, 70 years of marriage, this person is still waiting for satisfaction from something else. Right? So, this is the second defect, dissatisfaction or dushpuratvam. We will see one more and we will finish with that. Okay, the third defect is dependence, bandhagatvam. Bandhagatvam. Because these three purusharthas have the first defect of dukkha mishritatvam, being mixed with pain, therefore they have the second dosha, which is dissatisfaction. Right? Atriptikaratva. Because they don't satisfy me, I run after them, thinking that something else will satisfy me. This becomes something like, getting addicted to a drug or to a steroid or something. I cannot do without it. I need it to gain that momentary satisfaction. And then once it is gone, I run after it again. So it keeps me bound. It keeps me bound, and I cannot do without them. And therefore, they have a nature of causing a bondage or causing a dependence. Bandhagatvam. Therefore, three defects. Dukkha mishritatvam, atriptikaratvam, and bandhagatvam. We can say in the reverse order, bandhagatvam, atriptikaratvam, dukkha mishritatvam. BAD. All these purusharthas have a defect, and that defect is bad. BAD. Bandhagatvam, atriptikaratvam, and dukkha mishritatvam. And most people are short-sighted that they ignore these three defects. However, there are a few intelligent people, like all of you, who recognize the limitation of all these three purusharthas and are looking for the fourth, which is moksha. We will see more about moksha, and then we will see about moksha and more about our shastras in the next session. Hari Om. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Hari Om.